and welcome to Autistically Unapologetic, the unfiltered and unmasked podcast about everything autism. Here's your host, Devin Morrissey.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Autistically Unapologetic with me, Devin Morrissey. I want to officially welcome you all to episode 3, where today I'm going to be talking a little bit about hobbies and interests. Now, every single person out there has to have a hobby or interest or an activity of some sort that they love to do. And with us autistic people, that's absolutely no exception. Now, hobbies for autistic people can honestly range in anything that everyone else does, like Legos, trains, video games, puzzle solving, animals, hiking and walking, swimming, you name it. And over the years, I've had many hobbies and interests and activities that I did growing up. But I've always been curious to hear about what other autistic people like doing. And that's exactly where I am so excited to talk about a little bit with my next guest. Now, my next guest has many exciting hobbies that he likes to do, and he likes to showcase what he likes to do to over his 20,000 followers on Instagram. And a little fun fact about our special guest today, he is a main cast member on Netflix's and Northern Pictures' 3-time Emmy Award-winning show, Love on the Spectrum US. I couldn't be happier to have him on this podcast today. He's truly an awesome person with some amazing interests and hobbies, and I cannot wait to have him on here to speak with all of you about what he likes to do and what kind of got him started in those interests in the first place. In addition, I'm also really looking forward to talking a little bit about his time on Love on the Spectrum and what are some tips and tricks that he would like to give out to all of you single people out there. Please welcome to Autistically Unapologetic, James B. Jones.
Hey, James, what's up, man?
Yes, good evening to you.
How the heck are ya?
I am doing very, very well, as a matter of fact. Yes, I just got home not too long ago because, as I've mentioned, I have a long commute to and from work. So
I know. It's crazy.
I had enough time to unpack and have a brief snack, but I'll have to eat a full, proper dinner later.
I know, because right now it's like 7 o'clock where you are in Boston, right?
That is correct, yes. I get out of work at 5, like most people do, but I do have a bit of a long commute, so I'd rather not be I don't want to be any more specific than that, of course. I want to protect my privacy, but I do have a long commute to and from work.
Absolutely. I mean, well, hey, listen, thank you so much for joining on this podcast. As people may not know, we're taping an episode of my new podcast that I'm launching called Autistically Unapologetic. You're my second guest, James. So congratulations on that. And for those of you that we're going to be talking a little bit about hobbies and interests, I sent James a couple of questions that I'm going to have him ask. So, James, are you ready to rock and roll on this, buddy?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So, how do I look at? How's my picture quality?
It's perfectly clear. You look dapper as ever, man. And by the way, before I want to start, James, I have a little special introduction for you. So you may not know this, but my girlfriend and her best friend are massive fans of the show. My girlfriend, Andrea, and her best friend, Laura, they absolutely love you on the show. So can we just have a quick shout out to Laura and my girlfriend, Andrea, who are watching this right now?
Yes. Of course, yes. A good day to you, Andrea, Laura. I hope that you're both having a very nice day.
That's awesome. I think that's going to make both of their days, let me tell you, James. That's awesome. Thank you so much. So, James, I want to start off this conversation by asking, when did you first find out that you were autistic, and what was your reaction?
I'd say I first was diagnosed with autism or Asperger's syndrome when my age was, I say when I was either 10 or 11, maybe, when my age had just barely entered double digits, and by pure coincidence, it's also right around the same time that I started wearing glasses as well.
Really?
Oh, yes, I mean, before that, yes, but my parents weren't quite certain what to make of my, of my behavior or my my own idiosyncrasies or personality quirks, So, of course, being diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome or autism. Well, I'm not sure if Asperger's syndrome is still considered a specific form of autism or not, but yes, but being diagnosed with that definitely answered a lot of questions. Things made a lot more sense after that.
Absolutely. And speaking of questions that you might have asked yourself, tell me a little bit about your childhood growing up. When did you start to understand that, okay, maybe I'm autistic, up all the way through the time that you were a teenager to the time that you were 18 years old? What was that like growing up?
I mean, see, so I think my childhood was quite good. Yes, I'd say it was. I was very happy and content. Although I will admit, I did have trouble making and keeping friends. My brother was able to make friends more easily than I was able to. I'm not saying I did not have friends, but it would still be more difficult for you to make friends and also to keep them as well.
Yes.
So. And of course, also, my brother and I were the only people at our age in our family. We have cousins around our age, but they lived far away. So at family gatherings, my brother and I were typically the only two kids there when we were younger, unfortunately. But yeah, there wasn't really too much going on. But let me see. At that point in time, let me see. I was born in 1987. So at that point in time, society did not have a very strong, a very thorough understanding of Asperger's syndrome, autism, ADHD, or other forms of neurodiversity. Yes, so at that point, so there wasn't much help or assistance at that point in time. So for grades 1 through 4, elementary school, I was in normal or mainstream education. And it was good enough for, I guess, for maybe grades 1 through 3, it was pretty good. But in grade 4 was when things I started to notice that things weren't going quite so well. My parents felt that I won't go as far as to say I was depressed, but I wasn't quite as happy as I'd been the previous year. So my parents realized something had to be done. So yes, I think around that time was when I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, and that was when my parents began to seek out a special educational program that would be suited for someone such as myself. And so, as I mentioned, at that point in time, society did not have a thorough understanding of neurodiversity, and so there weren't too many programs meant for students such as myself. So I certainly don't want to sound as if I'm bragging or trying to. Wait. I don't want to sound like I'm trying to make myself special, but I believe I'm one of the earliest students. At that point in time, I was one of the earliest students to have been a student at a program specifically designed for students with Asperger's syndrome, autism, or similar conditions. And at least that's what I believe.
And you're absolutely right. At the time, there wasn't much information in the 90s because we're about 6 years apart. I was born in 93. You were born in 87, correct?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because at that time, people didn't really know what it was or like what autism is, what ADHD is, and people kind of just saw it as behavioral problems. Now that there's much more research into it, people are really getting a better sense of how it works. So I think that you absolutely hit the nail on the head with that. So thank you for sharing a little bit about your childhood.
Yes, of course. The remainder of my school, I see grades 5 through 8 being middle school and grades 9 through 12 being high school. I was in a special educational program for students such as myself. So I made many that was so beneficial. I'm very glad that I was in that program. If I had not been in that special program, I definitely would not be where I am now. So I met. Yes, they had the curriculum was specifically designed for neurodiverse students. I made many friends during that time. Some friends I am no longer in contact with, but there are some friends with whom I am still in contact, who I still hang out with regularly. It was great. I'm very, very grateful for that time.
And that's the beauty as well of having like those friendships. Like you can have so much history with them, and also the fact that like it goes on for years and years and years after primary school and secondary school is over. And then what about high school for you? What was that like once you left middle school and entered high school?
Oh, it wasn't so bad, I guess. I think My school got better as it went along. I would actually say my senior year of high school was probably my best year of grades
Really?
1 through 12. Yeah, that was when That's when of all those years, I felt the most confident and self-assured, and I had a pretty good group of friends at that point. And so I graduated from high school in 2005. Oh wow, I cannot believe it's been 18 years since I graduated from high school now.
You're telling me, dude, I like graduated from elementary school the same amount of time as you did.
Oh
So
wow.
that's such a small world indeed. I feel really old now.
Oh well, yeah. Well, think about how I feel.
Oh,
But
exactly.
although actually, back in 2015, I found out, since the program that I attended it's a very small was a very small program. They did not do class reunions, so in 2015, I organized my own 10-year reunion because there was no way I was going to let that
Wow.
opportunity pass by. But I don't know if I'm going to do a 20-year reunion or not. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you did a 10-year. Let someone else do a
Right.
20-year reunion. Pass the baton, man.
Indeed.
So, absolutely. So, James, some of these episodes, like you are on now, are actually going to revolve around hobbies and interests. And honestly, for us autistic people, it's no exception. Now, as many people may already know, or some of you that do not know, you are a classified A expert at Renaissance fairs. Everyone has
Yes.
seen you
Thank
down
you.
you're so welcome. Everyone has seen, every single thing about Renaissance fairs, whether it's the type of language, the outfits, the weapons, the lager. And it's been really cool to see just of how much you actually know about Renaissance fairs. What first got you started with Renaissance fairs?
That is very difficult to say. I've always been fascinated with medieval history. Of course, I love watching medieval fantasy movies, reading fantasy books and such. But let me see. Of course, obviously, I understand that actual medieval history was nowhere near as lively and vibrant as they show it in the movies. I mean, I'm sure people had celebrated on occasion and whatnot, but I'm sure that from what I've read, though, the actual medieval period, medieval to Middle Ages, were filled with warfare and plagues and pestilence. At least that's what I've read. So,
Yeah.
but I can't remember. I think I'm not sure when I first heard about King Richard's Fair, but I had heard of it. But the first time I went there with my family, my parents and brother, I believe. Ooh, it was quite a while ago. Maybe we went in 2012. I forget.
Oh,
I forget the
wow.
first year we went, but I had such an amazingly wonderful time. I couldn't believe how much fun I was having, so I knew I had to go back. Just, I've been there many times, probably been there more times than I can count at this point, but I have a good time every time, and I slowly, gradually bought all the pieces of my medieval clothing that you see. I bought them a little bit at a time, not all at once.
I know. I was about to say, if you bought all of those at just one Renaissance fair, I give you kudos to that.
Oh no, yeah, I spaced it out because I'd rather not say how much I spent on all that, but they were certainly not cheap. But I expect them to
Yeah, you
last a
gotta be.
lifetime. Mm.
Well, I mean, of course. I mean, they're like really precious antiques, man. How could you not keep them around for a lifetime? And I was actually about to ask, how many Renaissance fairs? Because I know there's been a lot. How many Renaissance fairs do you think you have attended in your life?
Oh, I've been thus far. I've been to King Richard's Fair numerous times, and I've been to the New York Renaissance Fair just once. That was where Emma and
Oh.
I went for Love on the Spectrum, because King Richard's
Oh
Fair would
yeah,
not.
that was in New York, wasn't it?
Yes, King Richard's Fair would not allow us to film there, but instead, though, they gave me several free tickets, which was nice.
Hey,
Mm.
that's good. The fact that they gave you free tickets and you're able to go whenever you please, that's huge.
Yes.
And I can completely
So,
understand, because when we shot the show, there were certain places that they couldn't film and that we could film, so we could totally relate to
mm,
that.
I understand. Earlier this year, back in, was it July? Earlier this year, I was planning to go to Robin Hood's Fair in Connecticut, but the weather ruined my plans that day, and unfortunately, I was not able to reschedule because I was simply too busy all the following weekends for the remainder of the fair's duration. So perhaps next year I will go to Robin Hood's Fair, but both Emma and I both wish to return to the New York Renaissance Fair at some point, so maybe next year we could go again.
Yeah, and then sort of kind of like relive sort of what you guys did when you went. I mean, that's amazing that you guys are able that wanted to do that. And not only that, but like you guys still remain very close friends, you and
Yes.
Emma. So shout out to Emma if she's watching. And just one last question about Renaissance fairs. So which of the ones that you've gone to has been your favorite so far? I'll totally take a tie as an answer.
Ooh, well, I've attended only 2 Renaissance fairs so far. I did not get a chance to see. We did not have a chance to see the entirety of the New York Renaissance Fair because the film crew was kept rushing us through the fair to see certain events. So sadly, I don't really. The only answer I can say is King Richard's Fair, but that may not be a fair answer simply because I really didn't have a chance to see too much of the New York Renaissance Fair.
Yeah. So the next time that you go to the New York Fair, take your time. Enjoy.
Yes, I intend to.
So another fun interest that you have, and if people haven't followed your Instagram that they don't know, is actually the gift of music, and particularly a certain genre, rock and roll. Love rock and roll. What got you interested in music, and particularly rock and roll?
Well, I've been fond of music my whole life. My parents, of course, would play me music when I was younger, and I just, I don't know, hard to say. I like music for its, for how it makes you feel, for the emotions it inspires in you. I mean, my first exposure to music was classical music. I'm sure that's the case for the majority of people, but like Mozart, Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, Chopin, etc. But my parents showed me the original Fantasia movie when I was younger. That was one of my earliest exposure to music. I love that movie so much. Still one of my favorites to this day.
Still the same here. The same here. It's amazing.
So let me see. Well, let's see. My parents. So my parents lived their formative years during the '60s. So they were very fond of like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and the a lot. They were so of course. So they would play music. They would play off music from their younger days. I started listening to that. Let me see. A lot of that early style rock and roll. I started listening to it. I'm trying to think now. When I first really got. I'm trying to think now. I believe it was in high school was when I started listening. It was when I started listening to heavy metal music. But let me see. Okay, since as I mentioned, I was born in 1987, so my high school years were in the early 2000s. So at that point in time, I was just the right age to be in the target demographic for a lot of alternative rock or alternative or industrial. Like, let's see, I'm trying to think like Disturbed, Godsmack, System of a Down, Static X.
Godsmack. I haven't heard them in years. Yeah.
Oh. They're still around, but yes, I was right. I was just the right age to be the target audience for some of those bands. I just saw Disturbed this past Friday, actually, in concert, as a matter of fact.
You saw Disturbed?
Yes,
wow.
I've seen it twice now. That was my second time seeing Disturbed.
Wow, you already beat me to it twice. I gotta get on your level, man.
I have a list. I've been keeping a list on my computer of all the concerts that I've attended, and I've attended quite a few. Like, actually, the most I ever did was like 1 year. I think it was probably like 2019, just before the pandemic struck. I think I went to 6 concerts in 1 year, actually.
6 concerts in 1 year. Holy moly. I gotta get on your level, man. I mean, this summer I've been going to so many concerts as well, but at this point, I think it's a little too late for me to start an Excel sheet. So I give you kudos for getting on that really
Thank
quickly.
you. Oh, actually, wait a minute. There is one other thing. I'll make an announcement on my Instagram page about this probably soon, but I'm going to be seeing Aerosmith in November.
No.
Yes, really.
Wow.
Aerosmith is on their final tour.
Man.
Well. Okay, so the thing is, though, Aerosmith will be performing on New Year's Eve in Boston, but that show sold out so fast I couldn't get a ticket to it. But so let's see, I have an uncle who lives in Kansas, and he invited me out to Kansas to see Aerosmith in November. So yeah, in November I'm going to see Aerosmith in the state of Kansas. So very excited about that.
That's amazing because I mean I don't know if this is true, but they're on their last tour.
Yes, exactly.
They've been around for years.
I saw Aerosmith once in 2012, mind you, but I would like to see him one more time while I still can.
You definitely got it. It's the end of an era for them. You know, it's amazing how you've been able to see Disturbed. You've been able to see Aerosmith. I mean, I gotta catch up on that. Actually,
next year, 2024, I'm seeing Metallica.
Whoa.
Yes. But actually, well, the tickets went on sale last year, 2022, so they went on sale 2 whole years in advance. But I bought my tickets at the moment it was available because I knew it would sell quickly. So it's 2 days. I'm seeing Metallica two days, one on a Friday and on a Sunday. So my ticket paid. I got two shows for the price of one, basically.
You really did, though. You really did, though. Because, I mean, Metallica in the world of heavy metal, they're like,
oh, yeah.
I can't
They're way up there, yeah. You can't miss them. Like,
you
for
really
example,
can't, though.
no, I mean, I had to pass a few concerts. Like this past Saturday, Ghost and Amon Amarth were playing, but it would have been nice to see them, but I've actually seen both those bands separately, so that's good. Plus, Guns N' Roses played earlier this week as well, but I saw Guns N' Roses a few years ago, so yes, Guns N' Roses are great, but it's not like I had to. But like Metallica's a band you can't miss. Like so, yeah, you can't miss them.
I know. I actually saw Guns N' Roses 2 years ago at a music festival in Napa. They were actually the headliners. So you could not miss Slash for a second. The minute you saw him with his hair and that hat, and he's already like, oh, you know Guns N' Roses is about to put on a show.
Yes.
Do you know? So one more fun interest that I have to bring up, James, it is your style. Now, I absolutely love your clothes that you have shown on your social media. I have seen you in everything from a fired collared shirt and a psychedelic groovy collared shirt to your electric rainbow collared shirt, all the way to your tie-dye collared shirts. I mean, I tried to put on a little style to match your level. But what do you enjoy about wearing these fun clothes that are really fun?
I like the multi-colors, but I really like, they're so expressive. They really help me to express myself. Yes,
I love that.
What I did is I bought the fabric. I purchased the fabric, the fabric and the buttons at a store, and I bring it to a tailor, and I have the tailor sew them together for me. Yes, they're not exactly cheap, mind you, but there are no other shirts like them in the world. So these are definitely designer shirts because each of those shirts is one of a kind.
You really do. I mean, I am completely blown out of my chair right now. I mean, I'm like, I need to use your tailor now for sure. Those shirts, ooh, they would be, I mean, what girl wouldn't want you with those shirts right now? Come on.
Yes. I gotta say, those shirts weren't exactly cheap. I really would rather not say how much I spent on each shirt, but they weren't cheap, so.
We'll just keep that on mute. So, James, are there any other interests or hobbies that you wish to share? Because obviously,
oh wow, I have many. I couldn't possibly. Way too. I'm sure we don't have time to go into describe all of them in depth.
How about one other hobby that you?
Well, I mean, I'm very fond of board games and card games. I like Scrabble, the Game of Life, or Uno, but I also like Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons. Very fond of both those games.
Dude, Dungeons and Dragons are amazing.
Yeah. I haven't played it recently, but I still do love it. And I do play Magic the Gathering quite a bit because Dungeons and Dragons takes so long to play. Magic the Gathering usually is faster, but I do also like Cards Against Humanity too.
Oh
so
my God.
Have you ever heard of that one?
Cards Against Humanity. How can I not hear of it? Whenever my girlfriend and I have game nights, we always play Uno or Cards Against Humanity. I kid you not. It really gets quite hilarious.
Nice. Nice. But I do like outdoor activities as well. I'm very, very fond of physical fitness outdoor activities like hiking, swimming, mountain climbing. Love doing that stuff. Like yes, like I have climbed the two highest peaks in New England, Mount Washington and Mount Adams. Those are not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, no, you really gotta you gotta be in great shape to get up the heights. I have heard that those are steep.
Oh, yes, very much so.
Those are actually really steep. I mean, honestly, I need to visit Boston at some point. That's on my bucket list. Actually, my girlfriend was born in Boston, so I mean, that might need to be something I need to do. So,
how about that?
Yeah, no, definitely be like, hey, you want to go hiking? I need to, get some stress off my chest. So, James, another question that. Oh, exactly. So, James, I wanted to quickly ask before we jump to the whole love on the spectrum stuff. what was your love life like pre-lots?
Oh wow, oh wow, oh man, my love life was practically non-existent. I'm sorry to say. Of course, obviously, I met there were times where I met women in whom I was interested, but nothing serious ever came of that, unfortunately. But well, as you may have heard me mention on the show, there was one woman I met a little while back who I thought for sure was the one, was my ideal match, but she was not. I really don't want to go too much into the detail, but I met her through an organization actually that's specifically dedicated to helping out people with Asperger's syndrome, autism, etc. I guess I can mention the name. I'll give them a shout out. That organization is called the AANE, Asperger Autism Network. They're great. Yeah, they're wonderful. I made many new friends through them as well. But yeah, so anyways, I said I met up. There was a woman I met through through some of their events who I thought was the one, and we were kind of sort of dating for a while, like about 3 years, from 2016 to 2019. But ultimately, I was saying the thing is, I was ready for things to be really serious between us, and she was not. So yeah, that was the end of it. As I said, I don't want to go too much into depth, but that was the first time ever in my life I experienced heartbreak. It was pretty crushing, pretty emotionally devastating, but I got over it, of course, because as I said, that was it ended in 2019, so everything's all good.
Yeah, and like what you said, sometimes it takes a little bit to move on, especially from heartbreak. Because honestly, people may not know this, but in autistic people, heartbreak is just the same as for other non-autistic people. So I definitely think that you send a really powerful message. So Love on the Spectrum is an Australian reality TV show that surrounds the lives of autistic individuals as they encounter dating, love, relationships, you name it. Now, it premiered on Netflix in November of 2019. And James, did you get a chance to watch the original Love on the Spectrum? And if so, what were your thoughts?
I did indeed watch both seasons of the original Australian version, and I enjoyed it. I loved the show. It was great because I could absolutely relate to and sympathize with all the participants. I went through what they went through. Yes, so I could definitely see myself in those situations. I really felt for them. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And obviously, being able to actually step into their shoes and be like, wow. So after 2 successful seasons in Australia and a massive audience reaction around the world, or around the show, Netflix and Northern Pictures decided to bring Love on the Spectrum to the United States. How were you approached to be on the show?
Try to think now. Well, actually, a friend of mine informed me. One of my friends informed me about it, and it mentioned that there was an announcement about there being an American version. So as soon as I heard there was an American version, I was excited. I knew I had to take action immediately. Yeah, I went online. I did everything I could to find out how to apply to audition for the American version. And I did. So yeah, I sent in my information. I honestly, of course, I don't remember what the exact words I said, but I sent in just a brief introduction about myself, include a picture of myself. Yeah, so yeah, it was pretty cool. So yeah, they contacted me. I don't remember the exact words. This was a while back, but I had 2 auditions over Zoom. And then I had a 3rd audition in person at my house. So by the time that happened, I was feeling pretty good. Because I figured if I'm all the way up to a 3rd audition and in person, mind you, they must. I was thinking that they were seriously considering me. Because they're not going to fly all the way out to where I am from California, wherever they are, just if they're not going to consider me for the show. So I was feeling pretty excited, and when they told me that they chose me for the series, I was ecstatic. I was over the moon about it.
Well, obviously, they chose you for a very good reason, obviously, because the charm that you have on the show and the way that you are is so amazing, and it's really, and you have such a positive light and this aura about you that I feel like in a way really connects people to you. So you were chosen by Netflix and Northern Pictures to be on the show. What was that like to have Netflix and Northern Pictures follow you around as you re-entered this role?
Well, let me see. Well, first, I just want to mention that I asked the producers and the film crew how many people auditioned for the series, and they said they had probably several thousand people audition. So the fact that I was one of the 6 who were chosen is pretty amazing, I must say.
It
So
really is.
it did feel a little bit intrusive having the film crew follow me around, but that wasn't a huge deal. I enjoyed it. It really wasn't that much of a problem. See, I was 34 at the time when the filming began for the first season. And yeah, I mean, if it'd been 10 years earlier, I probably couldn't have handled it. I probably wouldn't have had the level of confidence and self-assuredness I have now. At that point in time, I could handle it. So yeah, I mean, it was maybe just a little bit intrusive, but not too bad. I handled it. I actually have to admit, I kind of enjoyed it. I'm actually kind of missing it now.
I know. I know. It's so weird because it's like, you were doing this for quite so long, and then to have a premiere, and you're just like, whoa. But honestly, like, I can absolutely understand. Just like when you have cameras in your face, and considering that I was only on one episode of the show, I was a supporting cast member, but to have that, like, many people, cameras and lights in your face, and you're being open and honest, it's not an easy thing to do, and it's actually very scary. But honestly, I think that you and the entire main cast have handled it so amazingly, with grace and class and a whole lot of fun too.
Yes.
You have an outstanding group of friends and family that have been supportive of your journey every step of the way. What were some pieces of advice that they gave you that were not seen on the show?
I'm trying to think about that now. I suppose, I mean, I'm having difficulty recalling their exact words, but I imagine they probably said things like just be yourself, or go for it, or just relax, don't feel too nervous. I imagine fairly standard advice of that nature.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the same thing that I told Danny when she was filming. I'm like, just be yourself. Don't lose sight of what's important. It's just a TV show at the end of the day. People can think what they're going to think. And speaking of your fellow cast members, I wanted to hear your thoughts on some of the other main cast members like yourself. Yes. So starting with Mr. Steve from San Francisco. What are your thoughts on Steve?
Okay, well, first, I do wish to mention that thus far I have not yet met any of the other cast members from the American version or from any version, so I do hope to meet them at some point. That would be very nice. But as for Steve, I really like the fact they had someone of Steve's age on the show. Like they said, he was 63, so I like that because it shows that even if you're a bit further up in age, you can still be looking for love, and hopefully you can still find love. Yes, I really liked it. I think he's wonderful. He seemed like such a very nice, such a very nice guy, and I think I really liked his story.
Absolutely. And you bring up something very valid too, is that, like, you're never too old to find love. It's never too late. Miss Kaylin from South Carolina.
Actually, not too long ago, Kaylin was in Boston. She sent me a message to ask if I wanted to meet her.
But Boston?
Yes, really. There's a video of it on her Instagram profile, but the thing is, though, I didn't see her message in time, so I missed the opportunity to meet her in person. I'm very, very disappointed that I missed the opportunity. So, because I do not log into my Instagram account every day, I'm too busy to log in every day. But I do check my email multiple times per day. That obviously I've been doing for years now. So actually, I probably maybe I should give Kaylin my email address and have her contact me through email next time she's in the area or something. But I have no idea when I'll be down that area and where she lives, but I do like the fact that Kaylin has been advocating for people with autism or similar conditions for a long time. That's wonderful. I think it's great that she's doing that. I always make sure. Of course, I'm following her on Instagram, so I always make sure that I comment on her videos and just praise her for what she is doing.
Absolutely, and what Kaylin has done is absolutely outstanding, because everything that she says is so accurate. It's almost like a light bulb goes off in your head. You're just like, wow, I would have never thought of that until she brings it up. So it's absolutely, she's always hands down with things that she says. It's amazing. Right. From my home state of California, Mr. Sabode.
Oh no, Subodh is wonderful. I think he's such a nice guy. His story, I really felt for him. His family is wonderful. Like you could tell how much you could tell that you could just see that how strong a bond they have. They love him and he loves them. And yeah, I could definitely tell that they were very happy for him, and I absolutely felt, I was totally, I absolutely was so happy that he and Rachel found each other. But then, however, there was an announcement. Subodh, or maybe his family, posted an announcement on his Instagram profile saying that Subodh and Rachel are no longer in a relationship. They're still friends, just not romantically involved. So I really felt so sad. My heart went out to him when I heard about that news. So obviously, I hope he's still looking. He's such a wonderful guy, and he absolutely deserves to have someone who loves him.
Absolutely. I've had the opportunity to hang out with Subodh and his family quite a few times
Oh,
since
good.
the show aired, and everything that you see on TV is exactly Subodh and his family in real life. They are the sweetest people, and they throw some of the best parties, I have to say.
Wow, that's pretty nice.
We got Miss Abby Romero. What do we think of Abby?
Oh, yes, no, Abby was quite nice also. I have to admit that whoever chose the cast for this season did an amazing job with their choices, because Abby is quite, sorry, Abby was excellent also. I think the fact that she... it's Dave or David, right? Her boyfriend.
David,
Okay,
David.
that's right. I couldn't remember his name, but the fact that two of them found each other is wonderful. And actually, I think she's the only person from this season who actually found lasting love. Well, I mean, Subodh and Rachel were together for a short while, but no, I'm so happy. Yes, Abby and David are so wonderful together. I think they're an absolutely lovely, wonderful couple. I'm so glad that they're still doing well after all this time.
Yes. Abby and David are hashtag couple goals, aside from myself and my girlfriend. I've had the opportunity to hang out with David and Abby a few times as well. I actually met them at a Netflix networking event back in September.
Oh, wow.
And they are the sweetest couple. They have the sweetest families, and you can tell that there's so much love in the air between the two of them.
Right.
It is absolutely contagious. And finally, we got one of my best friends, Miss Danny Bowman. What do we think of Danny?
Oh, I think that she's very passionate about what she does. The fact that she started her own business at age 14 is remarkably impressive, and I do also greatly admire her devotion, her passion for, and her devotion to animation. I'm quite fond of animation myself, actually. So yes, I think it's absolutely wonderful what she's doing. She has her own academy where she's helping other people to discover a love for animation, and that's absolutely amazing. And so I have to admit, I'm not sure I've actually seen any of the products they have produced, but I'm sure that if her students are as devoted as she is, their products must be wonderful. So
her animation shorts all over YouTube, and they're all over. You definitely should check them out. And hey, she's always down to take her. She also offers free trial classes. So if you want to take one, you definitely should.
Maybe. I've never really been skilled at drawing. I love writing. I love to write poetry and stuff, but I'm not so sure how I am at drawing. But I love to alter my voice. I have to imagine that being that Danny's in animation, she must have at least some knowledge of voice acting. I'd love to be a voice actor. I know that's a pretty tough field to break into, and it's not always reliable. So I don't know, but I'm sure some people have seen some of the videos I've posted on my Instagram account where I alter my voice on occasion.
Yes, you definitely do, and I can definitely see that voice acting in you, and I definitely think that you should pursue it. Hit Danny up if she does another short. Be like, hey, can I be a voice actor on your shorts? I know she'd be definitely down for it.
Oh wow, that's very nice.
So my next question, James, is what was your favorite part about shooting season 1 of Love on the Spectrum US?
Wow, that is a very difficult decision, I must say. It's very hard to say because it was such a fun, wonderful time. I had a great time filming for the series. So I guess perhaps the perhaps the most wonderful thing was being able to go to different places. Like, so yeah, I basically, it was pretty cool. The crew paid for everything, so I basically, they were basically my entourage. I was in, I don't want to say I was in total control, but they were basically giving me free passage to all sorts of stuff because they paid for the dinner on my first day with Emma. They paid for me to go out to the Renaissance Fair too, so that was pretty impressive actually. So yeah, and you may have noticed I had my hair dyed as well. They paid for that too. So yeah, I'm not sure if I should be.
I'm still trying to figure out how you keep up with how you maintain that hair so wonderfully because I had
it's not easy, but I'm very. You can probably tell that I'm very fond of my hair, so I put a lot of effort. I brush it multiple times per day. So yeah, and I'll probably need to dye it whenever if it starts growing back out to its natural color. I'll probably dye it again. But yeah, actually, I'm not sure if I should have been saying that out loud. That the film crew paid for everything, but I don't see what harm I could do to say that.
You know what? It's all good. So, James, Love on the Spectrum US premiered in May 2022 to a massive audience reaction. It was actually in the top 10 most watched Netflix television shows for several weeks around the world. What was your reaction to the success of the US version of Love on the Spectrum?
I was definitely quite surprised, but pleasantly so. I was very pleased to see how popular the series was, and actually, so before the show premiered, I had virtually no social media presence whatsoever. I have an account on LinkedIn that I've had for many years, but other than that, I basically didn't post or participate in any social media at all because I simply never felt the need to do so. But of course, I heard though within the first week, I made my Instagram account about a week after the show premiered because I'd been hearing apparently some of the other participants gained many new followers. So yeah, as soon as I realized that I realized this could be a big opportunity for me. I could meet new people. Who knows what could happen? So yeah, I made my Instagram account. It didn't take me very long to get 10,000 followers actually. So I'm now up to 25,000 followers right now. So that's pretty impressive. But yeah, it's wonderful. I must say, making this account Instagram was definitely a wonderful thing. So I've met so many new people. I've made some new friends with whom I hang out on occasion. Let me see. So some people, since I'm so fond of music, I've been talking about my love of music. Several people have sent me CDs of their own local bands.
Wow.
It's pretty impressive. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I could give a shout to some of their names, but like some of the bands some of the people whose band, some of the band CDs I have. Let me see. I'll give a shout. Let's see, a band called Dark Divinity, a band called Into Orbit, a band called Shin's Mojo, and a band called Gaunt. Yeah, so those are some of the people. Those are some of the bands I discovered through Instagram. Yeah, they're all pretty impressive bands, I must say. Great stuff. And let's see, someone sent me a scented candle. Someone sent me homemade soap.
Scented candle?
Yeah.
Wow.
Seriously, and soap. Somebody sent me homemade soap. Someone sent me a bracelet. Someone sent me a weighted blanket also. Isn't that something?
Wow. I mean, people are just sending you gifts all over. I love it.
Oh, no. So you may have seen that I've been doing product endorsement videos, and nobody's paying me to do those. I'm doing those out of pure fun and love for the products. I'm just doing it out of my own enjoyment. Plus, so when I did a promotional video for Jones Soda, they sent me a free 12-pack. So, nobody's paid me yet, but hey, that's not too bad. I could get a free 12-pack. It's fine. And actually, when I did a promotion for Teddy Peanut Butter, and they acted like they were going to, I thought they were going to send me some free stuff, but they never did. But not a big deal. I still did it out of the sheer fun of it, So yeah, so not too bad.
And totally doing it for the fun of it is what's so important as well. And actually, speaking of fans, as one of the main cast members, you have been easily recognizable from the show.
Oh yes.
What has been one of your favorite fan reactions? Because I know there's a lot.
Yes, that's very difficult to say. Because people are still recognizing me even now, so long after the show premiered.
For very good reasons.
Let me see. But yeah, I don't know if I could choose any one particular interaction with the fans, but well, last year when I went to King Richard's Fair, I met some people who are now permanent members of my fan group. So my friend group. So that's not bad. But it's hard to say. No, I always enjoy interacting with the fans. So So sometimes, like, if I go out to a big event, sometimes I'll think to myself, well, so how many people will recognize me today? So like when I went to Wicked Comic Con earlier this year. I went to 90s
Oh
Con, and at both
yeah.
events, people recognized me. Plus, I went to a hot sauce festival, and people recognized me at that event as
Oh
well.
yeah, you've been all over the place too. Everywhere
Mm,
on your social media now, I just see you going everywhere, and I'm just like, oh,
mm,
he's gonna get recognized everywhere he goes now. I love it.
mm.
So for all of us who are on Love on the who are so for all of us who are on Love on the Spectrum US, whether a main cast member like you or a supporting cast member like myself, here in both the US and Australia, there's no denying that this show has changed all of our lives in some way,
Yeah.
shape, or form. How has Love on the Spectrum changed your life, and how has the show affected you personally?
Ooh, wow, that's a good question, but I would say it has changed my life for the better. My life has definitely improved. As I said, I've met so many new people. I've really expanded my social circle, my group of friends, actually. And yeah, that's not too bad. And actually, as a matter of fact, let me see now. One of the among as I said, many people reached out to me through Instagram. But so
Yes.
my goodness, you probably don't want to say too much. But so yeah, a woman reached out to me through Instagram, and things are going pretty well with her and I right now. Actually,
Wow.
yes, yeah, I know it's still.
Are you making
Yeah.
a podcast announcement that you're seeing someone?
Oh, I suppose you could possibly say. I mean, it's. I'm trying to think. It might be a bit early yet to be certain. But no, as I said, we really enjoy hanging out with each other. We really enjoy being in each other's company. So yeah, that's not too bad actually.
That's amazing, James. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Mm,
And sometimes it's not all about jumping into it right away. It's about taking your time.
yeah.
And if you really love someone wholeheartedly, don't rush things. Really
No, of
just see
course
where
not.
things go. That's where I think the best relationships honestly go is when you just
Yeah.
enjoy the person that you're with and you really can make an impact on that. I
Yeah.
think what you're doing right
Yes.
now, and I couldn't be more happier for you. I really
Yes.
can't be more
Thank you
happier
very
because
much.
you've worked so hard and you've been through so much, and just seeing you
Definitely.
now finding love again, I think it's so exciting. So what are your plans now? Or do you have any other Renaissance fairs you're about to attend? Do you have any public appearances you're about to make? What's
Let
about
me
to happen in
see.
the world of James?
Well, I do believe I will be going to King Richard's Fair again this year because
Wow.
partially because let me see that was it I still want to buy some more stuff like so I have a long sword, a short sword, and a dagger like I said I would, but I want to get a Japanese
Ooh.
style katana next, and the blacksmiths do sell those because I have a
Wow.
katana on my wall now, but it's a cheap prop that I bought for $20 from a magazine, but I want to get a high quality, fully functional one.
You
So
definitely should. You definitely should.
yes, so that's not bad. But let me see what else is going on. I don't think there are any more like conventions coming up. But actually, apart from oh wait a minute. At some point, I don't know the exact day. I'll probably make an announcement. But I'm going to be going to an arcade. I'm not sure if I should say. Well, actually, no, I've already said. Oh yeah, well, there's a video game arcade called Free Play. They have
Ooh.
two locations. I guess I can mention the locations. Like they have one location in Worcester, Mass, one location in Providence, Rhode Island, and they're awesome. So I always alternate.
Nice.
A few months ago, I went to the Worcester location, so that means I'm going to be going to the Providence location. So yeah, I'll be going to that arcade. And do I have anything else? Oh yes, there's a barbecue fest coming up at Mount Wachusett in Princeton, Mass. That I'll be
Ooh.
attending sometime soon. I think that's Saturday, September 16th. So
Wow.
yes, I'm going to that. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I imagine I'll probably be going to some haunted house type places in October for Halloween, mind
Oh
you.
yeah, Halloween is coming up. That means bring on the spooky.
Oh yes, I love
Oh
Halloween.
my gosh, no,
Yes, but,
Halloween now. Oh yeah, and then I forgot you're going to Aerosmith. So anyone that's
yes.
going to see Aerosmith in Kansas, look for James.
Yes. But so, although I'm not sure, I'm trying to think because when I go to some of these conventions, it's easy to spend large amounts of money very quickly. So I'm not certain.
Yes.
I might be taking a break from going to any sort of conventions for a while, only because just simply because of how much money I would spend at them. But I'll have to see though, because Emma said that she definitely would like to check out '90s Con. So I'm trying to think because last year I went to Wicked Comic Con's first ever event. This year I went to Wicked Comic Con and '90s Con. That was their second thing. So apparently Wicked Comic Con and '90s Con started at the same time. But last year I went to the first ever New England Hot Sauce Festival. This year I went to the second New England Hot Sauce Festival. So that's a lot of conventions and festivals and events, So I don't know. I'll
Yes.
have to give it some thought because I'm trying to. I need to be careful about how much money I spend.
I know, and money unfortunately doesn't grow on trees as much as we'd
No,
like.
certainly not. But yeah,
As
and
much as
actually,
we'd
one other
like.
big thing is I'm searching for a house right now. That's probably my big thing right now. So
Oh,
yeah,
yay!
yeah. So it's not easy, unfortunately. So my plan had been to move into my grandmother's house after she died, but unfortunately, there was just too much work to do in the house that I could not have afforded. So yeah, we sold her house, and with the money I got from selling her house, I'm gonna be looking for my own place. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not easy. Houses are expensive, and I've been looking around. So I'm sure I'll find a place eventually because I can't live with my parents forever. I mean, my parents are getting older, and
Man.
they deserve to have some time to themselves. It's not fair to my
Yeah.
parents that I'm still living with them after all this time.
I know, and
Mm.
honestly, James, at the right time, you'll definitely find your own place as well.
Yes, I
Like
do hope so.
I moved out literally right when I was like done with high school. I moved from San Francisco to Los Angeles, and I'm now living in a one-bedroom, one-bathroom apartment here in
Oh,
literally downtown Los Angeles. So you can imagine, you're like, okay, autistic person living in downtown. That's some gossip in a nutshell. So, James, Love on the Spectrum US is now being renewed for season 2, as we know.
yes.
What are some tips or pieces of advice that you wish to offer to the new cast members that are going to be featured this season on Love on the Spectrum
Let me
US?
see. Well, let me see. I will say it may possibly feel intrusive at times, but not too bad. The film crew are all they're all wonderful, very nice people, and yes, they pretty much give you free reign. They do prompt you to say certain things on occasion, but other than that, you can basically say and do practically anything you want. And yes, and it's so yeah, you just be yourself. I absolutely I would say be yourself because that's what they want to see. That's what made the previous seasons so wonderful. Is that the cast members were being themselves. There was no script. It's not like some reality TV series are not entirely realistic.
Yep.
They specifically exaggerate this, or they specifically do certain things
Yep.
just to they stir up, they cause drama just for the viewers. It's
Yep. Just to get
horrible
the
what they do.
ratings.
So yes, I will not say the names of any particular reality
Yeah.
TV series, but no, what they do, it's very sad. It's very unfortunate what they do. So this show was very different. This was completely unscripted. And they didn't exaggerate anything or force people to behave in a certain way. So that's
Yes.
wonderful. So no, I'm certain that anyone else who joins the show will have a wonderful time. Although I did notice I seemed very tense and on edge for many of my scenes, but that's because at that point in time I didn't have a lot of experience being filmed. But
Yeah.
you may have noticed on all my videos on Instagram, I seem much more relaxed and at ease because I've had more practice doing it.
Yeah, and it definitely shows. I think that for everyone that's watching right now can say that you've done an outstanding job, whether it's on your Instagram or even whether it's on Love on the Spectrum. Because when you're being shot for a show like that, it can be very nerve-wracking. Therefore, that's why sometimes we can be a little bit tense on camera. Like
Mhm.
when I shot my scene, I was really like, gotta make sure,
Oh.
don't say anything dumb. And if you're gonna say something, think before you say it. So, but
Mm.
also to just like the crew that we've had the chance to work with have been incredibly supportive since day one, and they really want, at the end of the day, for everyone to find love. That's what the show is all about, and I think that
Absolutely.
that's what is so important. So, my last question for you, James, is what would you like to say to all the fans from all around the world that have been watching your journey unfold within this past year and that have been rooting you on and cheering you on every
That is
step
a
of the
very
way?
difficult question, I must say. I need to give that some thought, but I would like to say, I would like to thank everyone who has followed me all this time from the beginning. Your support is absolutely wonderful. I really enjoy. I'm so glad that you are enjoying following me, and it's been wonderful to meet so many new people without a question. Yes, so yeah, definitely thank you very much for following me.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, listen, James, you have been an absolute delight to have on my
Yes,
podcast. Let me
thank
tell
you.
you, I absolutely enjoy having you. Please don't ever be a stranger to come on and talk about other interests and hobbies. I think what I need to do is do an entire music episode about, doing a music episode. And I think that you should definitely be a guest or a panelist for that.
Well,
And
that
for
would
those of you that have
be
not
something.
followed, yes, and for those of you that have not followed James on Instagram or any of his other social media, do it now. I promise you, you are going to be
Thank
in
you.
for quite a good time. And if you like what you hear on this episode, make sure to follow this podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or you can even see the full episode length on YouTube. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to both. Thank you all so much for tuning into this episode of Autistically Unapologetic. I am Devin Morrissey, and we will see you next time on Autistically Unapologetic.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Autistically Unapologetic with Devin Morrissey. If you like what you hear and you want to see more, don't forget to rate and subscribe to stay tuned for future episodes. Again, thanks for listening.